1580, we've got your blank.
Gotta find my joint up. I miss you. 3 times. Yeah. Sticking to the code, all these for the street. I put it in her nose, it's gonna make her leak. Toad ain't gonna wake up at they sleep. You can't hear that switch, but you can hear them scream. All my 20-carat ring, I put my fingers down her throat. If I lose a carat, she might choke. I know she gon' swallow, she'll go. Free bend, bring the rats in. Got the shooters in the corner, like the pack in. She think 'cause she's at it, she attractive. That's that they get you put up at the section. And the model still the same. Ball like I won a championship game. You know these hungry, they gon' for a name. I put her on the game, she get for a chain. Got your girl in this, twirling on this. I got syrup in this, turn up in this, and we about to irks in this, get murked in this. All these pointers on me, baby, you know it's game time. Bring a friend, we met the same time. I'm a different, no, we not the same kind. You can have that look, bitch, you ain't mine. Young dealer selling, is you like that? Kicking doors, kicking in doors, is you like that? Young throw, selling lows, is you like that?
KBLA Talk 1580. Let's talk about it. 800-920-1580. I am being joined by my highly decorated colleague, Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey. He started from the weekend, now we're here. He is the host of a show. We started out on the weekend, literally, now hosting daily A More Perfect Union with Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey is at 1 o'clock every single day. But yet, he has awakened early to weigh in with me. He's a journalist and educator and chief national affairs analyst for this joint known as KBLA Talk 1580. Good morning, Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey.
Good morning, Dominique DiPrima. How are you this morning?
I am blessed and highly favored. How art thou?
The same. Imagine that.
Imagine that. It's going around at KBLA. So, yeah, a lot to unpack. I know you always have your finger on the pulse of Washington. I won't call you an insider, but you're the guy sitting next to the insider, right? Or would you consider yourself a Washington insider, Nee?
I would consider myself somebody who keeps their finger on the pulse, who is connected to community and connected to leaders that have the power to make things happen.
Yes, indeed, you are. And so there's no way the gravity of this moment escapes you as far as this case, 34 felonies, going to a jury. Deliberations are meant to start today, and we could see a first former president and definitely the first presumptive nominee for the Republican Party going to conviction, going to jail, maybe. Long shot, but maybe.
Long shot, but maybe it's possible. I mean, look, Dominique, this is a really turbulent time for our country, and this is just the latest example of that. I mean, look at where we are today. A former president of the United States has multiple cases that are in play. We just happen to be talking about the New York case, but the jury is going to discuss the 34 counts of falsified business records that the former president was allegedly connected to. And that's not all. It was connected to hush money payments to adult film actor Stormy Daniels near the end of his 2016 presidential campaign. If he is not held accountable, think about what that says about our system of justice, our system of accountability. If he is held accountable, he's already planted the seeds to make it appear as if this case, among other cases, are purely politically motivated. That is not a good thing for the health of our democracy. It's not a good thing for respect for rule of law around the world, particularly with many democracies that are much younger than ours.
34 counts, falsifying business records. All of these counts, the most it could add up is 4 years in prison, just about a presidential term is why I'm laughing. How about instead of 4 years in the White House, we do 4 years in the big house?
It's possible. It's possible.
He's pleaded not guilty, of course. He's denying wrongdoing. The closing arguments reportedly wildly histrionic and, diverging from each other. I mean, I know you're not a lawyer, neither am I, but I wonder how much all of that, drama and borderline hysteria works on a jury.
Yeah, I mean, and this isn't just any jury. This is in New York City. And, New York folks pride themselves in being not just book smart, but street smart. And so, how much of an advantage might that be for the prosecution based on the case that they have presented? Who knows? But we do know that just moments ago, the judge was explaining what must be proven in relation to the falsification of business records. Having completed the instruction for count one, Judge Merchant is now going through what must be proven to show that Trump falsified or caused falsification of each allegedly false business record. The judge is specifically telling the jury the relevant date and type of document corresponding to each count that's being reported by NBC News as we speak. And so, this is real. It's one thing to say that somebody made poor judgment. It's another thing to say that, no, this was deliberate. This is not a coincidence. And those are some of the big questions that are before this jury today.
Yeah, I think the point about New York City is a great point, too, because New Yorkers don't just consider themselves more educated. They are more educated. I've seen data. New York has among the highest college graduation rates of any city in the nation, just as sadly Los Angeles has the lowest. And we're smart in other ways, okay? But I'm just saying, New Yorkers are actually provably more educated. They're greater readers, and I wonder if this means, and was one of the reasons why Trump was trying to get, his attorneys were trying to get the trial moved out of there. He's not wildly popular in New York, contrary to popular opinion.
Yeah, he isn't, but that hasn't stopped his MAGA supporters from making their presence known there. Again, just this morning, NBC is reporting that police let MAGA motorists cruise past the courthouse. Can you believe that? Including, one man in a Make America Great Again hat who inched along the street in a white van while pointing at the news crews. The song "Funky Town."
It's hard. It's really hard to believe that, Nee, because just watching trials of families who have been impacted by police violence. They're not allowed to wear a T-shirt in the court. No one can be outside in front of the courthouse with a sign. But yet you can have, the Speaker of the House outside a New York courtroom making statements, biased and prejudicial statements, and you could have MAGA people driving by. I feel like this judge, though, Judge Juan Merchan, has gone out of his way to be super unfair, even though, Trump continues to attack him. I mean, he's given Trump a lot of grace here. And I hate to say this, but I think that's the right thing to do because he is a former president. You cannot give the appearance that he's being railroaded.
That's right. That's right. And, there are reports this morning that Trump appears pretty restless as the jury's instructions.
Meaning he finally woke up? Is that what that means? His nap is over, and now he's restless?
That's right. Folks who over at NBC are reporting that the former president has also clasped and unclasped his hands in front of his chest as he sits. And, I can't imagine what is going through his head right now. I mean, aside from, how he's going to spend this, and so I think if he's convicted, I think he's going to spend this, as sort of another example of the alleged political witch hunt that he has claimed for many years. He claimed that when he was running for president back in 2016. He claimed it all 4 years while he was president, and he hasn't stopped. It's a part of Trump's greatest hits.
Mm-hmm. Well, so the jury can find him guilty on all counts, which is my personal preference. They could find him guilty on some counts and acquit on others, or they could just let him go scot-free, finding him not guilty, or they can end up deadlocked, which is another possibility, in which case we could see a mistrial, right?
Yeah, I mean, and again, I mean, I'm not a lawyer, but just based on what's been reported in the past few months related to this case and what was reported, as the case was coming together, it seems to me very unlikely that he will walk out of court scot-free.
Okay.
My suspicion is that maybe all counts won't stick, but a number of them will. That's just my back of the napkin based on what's been reported. But again, I'm not a lawyer, and I think we all are waiting to see, what this jury does, and more importantly, how he responds to it, how his supporters respond to it, how President Biden, who is his opponent in the race for the White House this year, how he responds to it.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. Trump is right now flagrantly violating his gag order, right? He's just going verbal vomit on Truth Social. And the judge's not doing anything. And but in other words, he's been given so much grace. Okay, go to Barron's graduation. Okay, sleep through the trial. All right, violate your gag order. We'll slap you on the hand with a little $1,000 something fine. And I'm not saying that I'm not saying that to be critical. What I'm saying, though, is he's been given a lot of grace, but no matter what happens, his core of supporters are always going to think it's a witch hunt. What did he call it? A kangaroo court. And so there are some people, and I think it's a sizable number, who cannot be convinced, no matter how fair this judge is, that this is a proper trial.
Yeah, and that's just another example of the polarization that exists in our country right now, where folks act like they're allergic to accountability. Look, he allegedly broke the law. He allegedly falsified business records. He allegedly, paid an adult film star improperly, as a means to hide, his affair, right? And those are things that under the law you can't do. And so, are we, a nation of laws where nobody is above the law? I think that's one of the big questions that's on the line. And so far, based on his treatment, there are a lot of people that feel like, well, he acts like he's above the line and he hasn't quite been held accountable for stepping over that line. Well, we're going to see whether or not his luck has run out.
Yeah, well, I'm praying that it has. 800-920-1580. Wouldn't that be ironic? Just in time for his big birthday. He can go to JAIL. 800-920-1580 if you want to weigh in. Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey and Dominique DiPrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
Say the quiet part out loud. KBLA Talk 1580. KBLA Talk 1580 is the fastest growing talk radio station in Southern California. Home to 50,000 watts and an audience reach of 12 million listeners. KBLA Talk 1580 is a pioneer for Black audio content, including our groundbreaking $2 million climate justice campaign and the most loyal, influential audience. According to an independent research study by the polling firm Aviterus, for the second consecutive year, KBLA Talk 1580 is the most trustworthy, reliable, and credible news source for Black audiences and beyond in Southern California. Let KBLA Talk 1580 power your advertising dollars. Our omni-channel custom marketing solutions are specifically tailored to connect with your ideal target audience. We leverage audio, podcasts, streaming, digital, social media, and local activations to get your message out to the Black community. Get in touch with our advertising team today at advertising@KBLA1580.com. That's advertising at KBLA1580.com. KBLA 1580. We've got your Black.
Family Talk with Straight Talk.
You give and you give. It's time to get with Straight Talk Wireless. You get a reliable 5G network and unlimited data, and you get to choose who joins your family plan starting as low as $25 a line.
Does it have to be family?
It can be family or people you like.
Get more lines and more savings. Switch to Straight Talk for family plans starting as low as $25 a line per month for 4 lines. Find us at Walmart and StraightTalk.com. For network management practices, visit StraightTalk.com. Family plan discount with 4 lines, all on the Silver Unlimited plan. Taxes and fees apply.
1 in 3 children born today will get diabetes. This sad prediction by the Centers for Disease Control will come true if millions of Americans don't improve their lifestyles, especially by changing what they eat, how much they eat, and how active they are every day. Every 23 seconds, another American gets diabetes. Stop diabetes before it starts. To learn more, contact the American Diabetes Association or download our free diabetes education programs at learningaboutdiabetes.org.
Did you know one of the best investments you can make? It's in yourself. At My Computer Career, in just a few months, you can start your new career in the high-demand, recession-resistant field of information technology. Isn't it time you invest in you and start a career in networking, cybersecurity, AI, or upskill to boost your current IT career? So get the ROI you deserve at My Computer Career, no experience necessary. Start now at mycomputercareer.edu.
Financial aid is available for qualified students, including the GI Bill.
Thanks for waking up with Dominique DiPrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
I appreciate you, and today you're waking up with me, Dominique DiPrima, and Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey, and you're welcome to join in at 800-920-1580, 800-920-1580. And, of course, don't forget to listen to Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey every single day, every weekday, that is, on a More Perfect Union at 1 o'clock. Same spot. The jury instructions, from what I can tell, from what I'm reading so far right now, Dr. Quartey, the judges being really careful. And he says when you deliberate, do that with a view toward reaching an agreement, if that can be done without surrendering individual judgment. He's also telling them that they can't convict solely based on the testimony of Michael Cohen. But it seems to me that the prosecution pre-authorized or pre-backed up pretty much everything that that Cohen was testifying to with receipts before Cohen ever took the stand.
Yeah. I mean, right. This judge is being very, very, very cautious. He's already hit the 1 hour mark in terms of providing jury instruction. Wow. And I think he understands that there's going to be a lot of scrutiny on this case. There's going to be every attempt to appeal whatever the decision is in this case. And so I think he is doing his best to do everything by the book. But you're right. These deliberations have a lot riding on them. And I didn't know this until this morning, that jurors won't receive a written copy of the instructions, but they will be permitted to ask for them to be read back if needed. And that's why apparently many of the jurors are in the courtroom taking very diligent notes as Judge Merchan is speaking.
Yeah, I did hear that they don't want them to sort of have the instructions and try to be amateur judges or juries, or lawyers themselves. I thought it was interesting that he said they can't hold it against the former president that he didn't testify. like he had something to hide, that he went out of his way to say that they can't make a decision based on stereotypes or biases, and they can't hold it against him that he didn't testify.
Yeah, and the judges also explained what the difference is between motive and intent, saying that motive is the reason a person chooses to engage in criminal conduct, whereas intent is an element of the crime of falsifying business records in the first degree. The judge added that in this case, evidence of a motive or evidence of a motive may be considered. And so that's pretty notable, according to sources. It's notable that the judge told the jury that. The state wasn't required to prove motive when so much of this entire trial has been the people trying to establish Trump's motive. And so that's very interesting to me. And that's also probably part of the reason why Judge Merchant is taking his time, making sure that this jury understands what they're being asked to do and understanding how to apply the law, particularly when it comes to making the distinction between motive and intent.
800-920-1580, 800-920-1580. I promise I'll take your call right when you call me if you get on the phone right now. The Trump team, interestingly, throughout this trial, they've had various Republican officials and sycophants and weirdos with their own, legal troubles, standing outside the courtroom making statements in support of Trump, blasting the judge, undermining the whole process, that it was sort of a workaround, I think, for the gag order. So we can't say it, so he can't say it, so we'll come and say it for him. It seems that yesterday may have been the first time, the prosecution by proxy or Team Biden or whatever kind of did a version of that themselves by having this press conference with Robert De Niro. Not that Biden was at the press conference, but clearly he was pushing back on the Trump narrative. And it was funny. Then, Republicans immediately started whining about it, even though they've been doing it for weeks. What do you think? I mean, are you happy about that? Are you like, it's finally time for Democrats to hit back, or we're too wimpy? Or do you think it was line stepping?
I thought it represents some line stepping. Look, there is enough of a sideshow afoot with this Trump trial, with every Trump trial, right? And so, I feel like, let the process do what the process needs to do. Let the carnival barkers, show up, and pledge their allegiance to the former president. You even have people like Mitt Romney, Senator Mitt Romney of Utah, who is a Republican and came out and said he was embarrassed. He was embarrassed for the speaker and for other Republicans who made it a point to make their pilgrimage to the steps of the courthouse in New York in a demonstration of solidarity with the former president. And given what he's being charged with, falsifying business records, and illegally sort of paying this adult film star to, avoid news of his affair getting out. You have Mitt Romney, who is saying the quiet part out loud, that, basically, do folks have no shame, right? And so I feel like, let, folks in Trump's orbit sort of have this moment and own this moment. I think there will be plenty of time to have conversations with voters as to the judgment and character of their opponent. And so, I actually thought the Biden campaign, by way of Robert De Niro, didn't need to engage.
Mm-hmm. Well, I guess we'll agree to disagree, because I thought it was great watching Robert De Niro. I mean, of all people, just going in on Trump, because he is, nothing says New York like Robert De Niro, right? And I don't know. I can see your point, though. You're like, let them be cray-cray. But I didn't think that De Niro came out cray-cray. I mean, he did call him a tyrant. He did say that, he had people doing his dirty work for him. And, He painted him as a dictator, but he started it by saying he was going to be a dictator on day one. And, I thought it was effective having Harry Dunn there with him, the, former D.C. Metro cop who's running for office, a Capitol police officer, because it's a reminder of the price we paid for January 6th, which is part of Trump's legacy and baggage that he's brought to this country.
Mm-hmm. It is. I mean, all of this is a part of his baggage.
Called him a clown. I love that.
Yeah. I mean, I always sort of think about where are those opportunities to really be heard, right? And it felt to me like the steps of the courthouse, it was just a very sort of noisy atmosphere, and I'm not sure how many folks are really paying attention to what's happening there. I think after there is a verdict, I think we'll have more people's attention, and I think we'll likely see more surrogates for the president and more, Democrats in elected office sort of, seizing the moment to make a lot of the points that you just underscored.
We're going into news, traffic, and sports right here, but on the other side, Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey, I want to ask you what happens. What happens if there's a guilty verdict? What does that do to the presidential race, the nominating contest? What does it do to fundraising? We know Biden's already ahead in fundraising, but Trump seems to have a win-win where every setback is an opportunity to make more cash. We'll look at that and more when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
I'm Mike Moore. Here's the latest from the Black Information Network. At least 300,000 people are still without power in Dallas County after severe storms pummeled northeast Texas. Local authorities say the power outages are expected to be multi-day issues after fierce winds knocked down power lines across the Dallas area and toppled trees. Flood warnings were also in effect for parts of the Trinity River that runs through Dallas, which has been soaked for days by heavy rain. In Ohio, a dedication ceremony is planned for today to mark the opening of the Sojourner Truth Legacy Plaza. The plaza pays tribute to the woman known for her role as an abolitionist and her activism for African American civil rights and women's rights. Festivities are expected to get underway around 5:30 p.m. That's Eastern Time. And that's the latest. I'm Mike Moore from your 24/7 news source, the Black Information Network and BINnews.com.
Seasons change. Why not your tech? Upgrade now during the Dell Technologies Summer Sale event and save on select PCs like the XPS 16 powered by Intel Core processors. Exceptional prices await you at Dell.com/deals.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The LA Sparks got some revenge on Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever. After losing to the Fever Friday at Crypto.com, the Sparks beat the Fever by 6 in Indianapolis Tuesday night. The Sparks are 2-4 in the first month of the WNBA season. 22 points for Sparks guard Kia Nurse. The Sparks overcame a 30-point performance by Clark. The Sparks are at Chicago Thursday night. The Dodgers swept the Mets in New York to snap a 5-game losing streak. The Dodgers and Mets played 2 games Tuesday to make up for Monday's rainout. The Angels beat the Yankees by 1. Taylor Ward's 2-run double in the 8th was the game winner. The Boston Celtics will have to wait a little longer to know who they will play in the NBA Finals. The Minnesota Timberwolves avoided a sweep in the Western Conference Finals with a 5-point win at Dallas. Game 5 is Thursday in Minneapolis. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Tips to help improve basic steps for building a budget in 2024. Building a budget can help you achieve and reach your financial goals. With a budget, you can keep track of your spending, avoid and get out of debt, limit overspending, pay bills on time, and build solid savings habits. What's the best way to get started? Figure out how much to set aside for expenses, like rent, mortgage, bills, groceries, and entertainment. Understanding your past financial habits can help you make the proper adjustments for your budget. Adjusting to a budget can take time as you work to find the right balance, but keep working on it. For more financial health tips, visit chase.com or stop by a local branch. This segment is sponsored by J.P. Morgan Chase & Company.
Did you know addiction to drugs like meth or cocaine is a disease and not a choice? But getting help is. If you have stimulant use disorder, you, your family, and friends may have a lot of questions, including where to start. Choose Change California can help. Make a change today and find a proven treatment option for you at choosechangeca.org.
Hi, I'm Henry Winkler. My eyes are very important to me. My eyes connect me with everything I love. I loved my late father-in-law dearly. He always lit up a room, but his vision dimmed with age. He had age-related macular degeneration, or AMD. And since partnering with Apellis, I've learned there's an advanced form of dry AMD called geographic atrophy, or GA. His struggle with vision loss made me want to help others know about GA's warning signs. For some, colors appear dull or washed out. For others, hazy or blurred vision make it hard to see details, like fine print on price tags. Many have trouble seeing in the dark, making driving at night difficult. GA gets worse over time and cannot be reversed. If you think you have GA, don't wait. Treatments are available. Ask a retina specialist about FDA-approved treatments for GA and go to GAWon'tWait.com.
We knew you'd stick around. This is LA's home for progressive talk radio. Welcome back to KBLA Talk 1580.
Absolutely. It's Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey and Dominique DiPrima. Okay, we got a lot of stuff to talk about. But Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey, you got such a melodic and amazing name. And I feel like Nii-Quartelai, is that African?
It is. It's from Ghana. And in fact, the local folks in Ghana will pronounce it Nii-Quartelai Quartey.
Nii-Quartelai Quartey. And what does it mean? Does Nii-Quartelai mean something?
So Nii means prince or king.
Okay.
And my surname is Quartey. And really the intention behind my name is caregiver of the family. So that was the intention.
I love that.
As the youngest of 5 boys, which I would say is the best diplomatic training anybody could ever ask for.
For sure. For sure. And of course, we're our little KBLA delegation going to Kenya and Tanzania this month. So, well, not this month, June, yeah. So it's coming up.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was awesome, and it kind of tracked with the president having the state dinner for the Kenyan president. Kenyan President William Ruto, of course, announcing, he's signed an agreement with HBCUs, including Spelman and Morehouse, Clark, Atlanta, and Howard, to boost STEM education and economic development in both Kenya and the United States. The president welcoming him at that state function and talking about renewing a strong alliance with Kenya, the United States. It's just interesting that all this is happening right when we're about to go to the motherland, to that exact country. And also I was disappointed that Republicans blocked the Kenyan president from addressing Congress, even though they allow Netanyahu to come when Obama was there and he wasn't even invited by the president. And we haven't had an African president address our Congress in, I think, 15 or 20 years.
Yeah. I mean, so just last week I had a chance to cover the Kenya state visit here in D.C., and I think a lot of people don't know the history between the United States and Kenya. 60 years of friendship between the United States and Kenya, and it was wonderful to be able to, meet and cover President Ruto and the First Lady of Kenya. I also had a chance to join the press pool for First Lady Joe Biden. She took First Lady Ruto around town, and we stopped by the D.C. Advanced Technical Center where a number of Black and brown young people are there learning nursing skills and cybersecurity skills, akin to some of the opportunities that are afoot in parts of Kenya. And then the second stop was Johns Hopkins University, where the Biden Moonshot Initiative is housed. And while we were there, I didn't know this, that cancer is the third leading cause of death in Kenya.
I did not know that either.
Cervical cancer.
Wow.
Cervical cancer, breast cancer, and prostate cancer, right? And so there are so many different areas, Dominique, of partnership that's happening between the Biden-Harris administration and the Ruto administration in Kenya. I mean, pages and pages and pages of advanced details on all the different areas of partnership between our nation and Kenya. And so I think your trip is going to be incredible. It's well-timed. And it's reminding me of my trip with the VP to Ghana and Tanzania and Zambia last spring. I have a book coming out in July to take people on that journey.
Yay, I love that so much.
It's called Kamala, the Motherland, and Me.
Okay,
and so I'll be back to tell you all about it.
I have a follow-up question about that, but before I forget, I want to mention that Obama showed up at the state dinner. Of course, his dad was Kenyan, so the descendant of a Kenyan was in our White House as the leader there. That must have been a thrilling moment.
Yeah, it was really cool, and this is what progress looks like. And there are forces out there, both foreign and domestic, that don't like seeing that kind of progress. They don't like seeing some of the advanced work, that progress that's happening on the continent, investments in clean energy, investments in STEM education. I think in some ways there is innovation afoot on the continent that I think would blow people's minds here in the United States.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me the name of your book again.
Kamala, the Motherland, and Me.
Kamala, the Motherland.
Start. Kamala, the Motherland, and Me. Pre-orders start in mid-June, and so I'll definitely be back. And the book comes out on July 23rd. I can't wait to share.
Wow, that's great. You're going to have to come back on and talk about your book. Why do people, and I'm going to say a certain category of Black men hate our vice president so much. It really hurts my heart because folks want to say she's not a Black woman. Clearly she is. They want to treat her like a Black woman while saying she's not a Black woman. What do I mean by that? Not protecting her, treating her like trash, holding her to a higher and different standard than anyone else in the entire universe, and then say she's not a Black woman while oppressing her like a Black woman. And one of the conversations I had yesterday, I had someone online telling me that Kamala Harris, actually they shared a clip of some Black men having a conversation about the vice president where they say she went to Africa only to spread a gay agenda. How do you respond to that? Yeah.
I've heard many of these things, and Dominique, that's part of why I felt compelled to write this book. Because I feel like it's a very narrow narrative about the vice president that gets probably way too much attention. I had a chance to spend over a week traveling from D.C. to Ghana to Tanzania to Zambia, along with the press corps, covering the vice president's historic trip to the continent. And while she did speak to LGBTQ issues, particularly in Ghana, at a time where the Ghanaian parliament was considering what has now become one of the most extreme anti-LGBTQ bills on the continent, in response to a question from the press, yes, she answered that question, but her tour was not, about simply promoting LGBTQ rights. On the tour, she talked about a number of things, including investing in entrepreneurship and innovation on the continent, and highlighting that work that's afoot. The digital divide is enormous on the continent. 2/3 of folks who have access to the internet on the continent are men, and so she's not just talking about it, but she's been doing a lot to address it, including working the phones, getting corporations and foundations to put in on public-private partnerships to address these issues. And so I discuss all of these things and more in the book, Kamala, the Motherland, and Me. And for any of the black men and anybody, that takes issue with the blackness of our vice president, her consciousness, her commitment to black people, I encourage them to read the book, and they just might re-examine their assumptions.
Yeah, I mean, come on now. We can do a whole show about that on another day, and we will, because it's starting to get on my last nerve. But I think the allegation was by these comics, and of course this podcast is going viral, is that she was saying, offering funding to African nations, but only if they would embrace the U.S. gay agenda, what they're calling a white supremacist gay agenda. Well, to which, of course, I replied, there were LGBTQ plus people in the motherland, when Europe was still living in caves. So I don't think we need to protect Africa from LGBTQ plus people in any way, shape, or form. And I think the way that we deal with, LGBTQ plus folks on the continent is actually a colonial mindset, not the other way around. That said, did you see evidence of the vice president saying, well, if you don't embrace our agenda, even though we have our own terribly anti-LGBTQ plus legislation passing all across, red states all across the country, did you see evidence of the vice president holding African nations in order for them to get funding to our LGBTQ plus standards, whatever those are?
I didn't see any evidence of that. What I saw evidence of was a vice president who has a long history of being an ally of the LGBTQ community and being an advocate for global human rights. And just as much as she talked about our U.S. national security interests, just as much as she talked about, Ghana and other countries' interests in having the United States help them to, reorganize some of the debt that's making it harder for them to invest in their economies while also paying their debt. That this was also a topic of conversation. And so, I think sometimes people, make it much bigger. It made it into a much bigger point than the way it showed up on this Africa tour. But look, homophobia abounds. It's not just in America, but it exists on every continent. And this book hopefully puts that into context. But you've got to remember that our community, if we look at black people includes LGBTQ people, right?
Hello.
It's not like LGBTQ is, are just hanging out in West Hollywood. We're black folks in South LA. In fact, South LA Pride is coming up. And shout out to soon-to-be LA City Council President Marquise Harris Dawson, who's been an incredible ally for a very long time, right? So black LGBTQ people are here. We ain't going nowhere, and it's because of allies like Marquise Harris Dawson, like Vice President Harris, that people are able to be seen and heard and in community with us all.
Talking with Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey, some funny conversation going on in the chat. Plus, I want to take a look at Nikki Haley doing graffiti on bombs, or maybe she thinks this is a video game. I'm not sure what's going on in Gaza. Maybe that's what she thinks it is. We'll look at that and more when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
We asked seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well trained. Don't talk to them.
They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me.
Don't be fooled. Hang up. Just hang up.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They're going to get your number to put in a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone, and should I pick up the phone and they ask for information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement.
Check your statement every month. If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
Call your senior Medicare Patrol.
To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 855-613-7080.
When I move my body, I feel like freedom.
Happy anniversary, KBLA!
The only black talk radio station west of the Mississippi.
And they wondered if a black talk radio station would work in Southern California.
Y'all did it!
Well, KBLA Talk 1580 toasts its 3rd anniversary on Juneteenth, and you're invited to celebrate with us.
Hey, Travis Riley, y'all the bomb.
All you have to do is go to KBLA1580.com right now and sign up. Admission is free, but mandatory, and space is limited. Once we reach capacity, we'll have to cut off the online registration, but it's open right now.
Oh my God!
So don't delay.
Thank you guys for being the best at what you do.
Log on to KBLATalk1580.com right now and register to join us for an afternoon of good music, good people, and good vibes.
Happy anniversary.
Wednesday, June 19th, 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. We will provide the food and drink, but be sure to bring your low-back chairs, blankets, and your personal picnic baskets.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Let's celebrate 3 years of being the most trusted, credible, and reliable source of news and information.
We love you, KBLA.
We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we're black and stride again.
Black and stride again.
Happy anniversary.
Hi, this is Quentin. A little thing I love about Chick-fil-A chicken strips are how satisfying they are. The chicken strips are amazing. They're always filling, crispy, tender, and juicy. Definitely one of my favorite things on the menu. Especially when you add in that Chick-fil-A sauce. Always the perfect combination. And then personally, you know me, I'm getting a 4 count. I want as much chicken as possible. I'm that guy. Whenever I get them, whether it be lunch or for dinner, in my household, it's always a winner.
Order the chicken strips on the Chick-fil-A app today. Real customer paid for their testimonial.
Did you know one of the best investments you can make? It's in yourself. At My Computer Career, in just a few months, you can start your new career in the high-demand, recession-resistant field of information technology. Isn't it time you invest in you and start a career in networking, cybersecurity, AI, or upskill to boost your current IT career? So get the ROI you deserve at My Computer Career. No experience necessary. Start now at mycomputercareer.edu.
Financial aid is available for qualified students, including the GI Bill.
Make a move into a home of your own. With City National Bank's Ladder Up Home Loan Grant, you could receive up to $20,000 that you never need to pay back. Use it toward your down payment, save on closing costs, or to buy down your mortgage rate. Find out more at cnb.com/ladderuphome. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Property must be in a qualifying market in California, New York, or New Jersey. Additional terms and conditions apply. Not all applicants will qualify. Terms are subject to change without notice. City National Bank is an equal housing lender. Member FDIC. NMLS number 536994.
Heard any other talk radio lately that sounds anything like this?
We didn't think so.
You're listening to Unapologetically Progressive, KBLA Talk 1580.
You gotta love South LA Pride. I love my people. It's Saturday, July 13th. I know y'all think Pride month is June, but we do things in our own time. Go to southlapride.com if you want more info. And that's Marquise Harris Dawson and Heather Hutt, 2 people on the city council. Just a follow up there. Yeah. So I do want to talk about Nikki Haley. They're in the chat saying, no, the show is not pre-recorded. They're asking the chat, call us 800-920-1580. They're saying they call her Kamala, let's make a deal. And their forensic accountant says prosecutors tend to prosecute. Morris Phillips says she's Kamala, let's make a deal. And they're arguing about whether or not she's black. Let's go to Link calling us from L.A. Hi, Link. Link?
Hey, Dominique, are you there?
I'm there, and so are you. Good morning.
Good morning. Listen, I got to say this. I'm acquainted with the vice president when she won the attorney general I met her on a flight, and then I met her again 3 weeks later, and she remembered me. She is so nice and so powerful that we, as black men, we got to understand, we got to support our sisters when they're power women. She's a Libra, too, so those Libras sometimes could be a handful. But she was dating a famous black mayor back in the day. I don't know if people remember that. And then, it's just like, then she marries Doug because Doug was ready to be serious. I mean, with her career,
she dated Montel Jordan,
game.
too. Remember that? You've seen those pictures.
Yeah, so she's down just like Serena Williams. Serena Williams dated some brothers, and then they were playing games. So who did she get serious with? So we got to wake up.
A billionaire.
It's okay to walk beside a powerful woman. I have one in my life. It's okay. You can do it together. This is not the 50s. This is not the 20s. You will work together with your strong sister or your strong person in your life to build something, to gain. I just don't get why they don't like Kamala. She is so good as a person, I believe, and as a leader. And she can do the president's job better than most.
Right. They try to say the only reason she came up is because she dated that powerful former speaker that you're referring to, but that's just not the case. I mean, she's brilliant. Did you guys watch the Supreme Court hearings where she was questioning those folks? I mean, she's brilliant. I think you're onto something as far as her strength. And Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey, you want to weigh in on that convo? And yes, Libras are a handful. My dad was one. I got a bunch of brothers that are them, but they're great.
Yes, they are. Go ahead, Doctor. Go ahead.
I appreciate the point that you're raising, and I can tell you that the leader that I observed, not just on the trip to Africa, but a number of times before, is somebody who is incredibly intentional and deliberate, somebody who made a very uncommon and unpopular decision at the time after law school to go work inside the system. Right, and for anybody, whether we're talking about law enforcement or education or healthcare, but for the people who make the decision to go create change from the inside out, that you're going to take some hits, and I think she is acutely aware of that. But this Africa trip, in a lot of ways, is an example of the kind of creativity. Of the kind of forward-thinking leadership, just as Dr. Karanga, the founder of Kwanzaa, would say, the consciousness and commitment to Black people and advancing U.S. interests abroad, right? And so, I never set out to write a book when I, went on this trip, but afterwards I was, so compelled to do so because there was just so much that was a part of this trip that was not in the public discourse, and that I thought, really did a disservice, not just to the vice president, but Black women leaders everywhere, Black leaders everywhere. And so I hope that your caller will not just pick up the book, but share it with others.
If dating a mayor would make you a vice president, then Kimberly Guilfoyle would be vice president. I'm just saying.
And Stormy Daniels, she might have a career someplace else.
She could be the new Nikki Haley. Let me stop. Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey, just real quick, because we are close to the end of the show here. Nikki Haley reportedly wrote, finish them on a missile pointed toward Gaza, Finish them. America loves Israel. That was her message. How do you respond to that?
I think it's beneath the dignity of public service. It's another reminder that there are forces out there that do not see the humanity of innocent Palestinian people. There are efforts out there to conflate innocent Palestinian people with the leaders of Hamas that don't mean us well, that don't mean Israelis well. And at a time where there's just so much turbulence and there is such a need for leadership and moral clarity, actions like this fly in the face of that, right? And, the question is, who's the real Nikki Haley? Does even Nikki Haley know who she is, right? Former governor of South Carolina, former UN ambassador, former GOP candidate for the presidency, and this is the action that she takes? Does she think this is cute? Does she think this is going to, persuade Trumpers to welcome her back into the fold? When I saw this, it made my stomach churn. And no matter what side of the political aisle you're on, there's so much about this action that is void of the humanity that we so desperately need in the world.
Yeah, I think that's right. I mean, you want to put your name on a bomb that's killing children, and that's a cute thing to you. That's funny. That's something to celebrate. Even if, no matter where you are, on Israel, that's just, to me, it's monstrous. And it is contributing to the dehumanization of those babies and children and women and all people in Gaza. Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey, thank you so much for being with us.
Always a pleasure to be with you, Dominique, and all your fantastic listeners.
We'll see you at 1. On that note, I'm going to quote Dr. Martin Luther King on the way out the door when he said, "Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that." Tavis Smiley is up next. He's got a full lineup for you, as he did yesterday. Don't forget, if you missed my shows or Tavis's, download the KBLA app. All our podcasts are free. They're wherever you get your podcasts. History is now, and we're making it together. Until tomorrow, one love.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Mike Moore. Here's the latest from the Black Information Network. At least 300,000 people are still without power in Dallas County after severe storms have been soaked for days by heavy rain. In Ohio, a dedication ceremony is planned for today to mark the opening of the Sojourner Truth Legacy Plaza.